You can use text and email and Zoom and whatever it may be to, I think, I think, I think I could do a full album without leaving. That would be interesting.
Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound with another of our video calls. We're catching up with everybody while we're all stuck at home. I'm delighted to say from Dance Gavin, Dance Tilian's on the line. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Let's start with that question. It's been the question I've started all these with, but it's very important. Are you okay? Are everyone you know safe and keeping well, I hope? How's your quarantine going?
Yeah, everyone's safe. A couple people I know, a few people got the virus and recovered. Luckily, everyone in my circle has been completely safe. What about you?
Yeah, okay, not too bad actually. Yeah, I'm kind of in a nice, handy location in kind of southwest London, a little bit cut off from perhaps the city centre, so that's working okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of been all right where we are for sure. Thank God, anyway. Thank God.
I'm in the middle of LA, but it's not bad here apparently. So.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, that's a good plus point for sure. Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear you're all safe and well. And let's kind of dive into the music thing, because congratulations, first of all, putting out the record at this incredibly strange time. But that's a really great thing, and I'm glad you guys put it out there. Initial question really is, how are you finding the kind of reactions from fans? It seems like it's really gone down super well with your audience, this one.
Yeah, I would say definitely compared to the last one, it's been received really well. I mean, not that the last one wasn't, but we took our time with this one a little bit more, at least in the writing and recording process. We spaced it out. We sat with the instrumentals for a long time. We took a full month to track vocals, which usually we take maybe like 2 to 2.5 weeks, but we spread it all out. And yeah, I'm completely happy with it. I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Yeah, it's always the way with you guys. I feel like you've always got something extra cooking, moving along. I remember when we did the cover shoot and you got asked a few questions there. I remember seeing you were saying how you'd actually taken time in between, even aside from your solo stuff, which I want to talk about as well, but you've just taken time to just book in some writing sessions just for practice, is the way you worded it. I mean, that's kind of a really interesting concept.
Yeah, I guess it's the difference between, I mean, you can kind of make an analogy to working out. Like if you take 3 months off and then you go back, you're gonna get destroyed. Not that, I mean, you will have a ton of energy maybe to work out, but maybe just at the beginning. You know what I mean? Because once you tap in and once you're in the middle of an album, it doesn't matter how much time you took off in between. Maybe for the first like 2-3 songs, you have like an extra oomph if it's been a long time. But at the same time, yeah, it seems like it's a muscle. So you could I don't know, practice, and also just you gaining influences from other people, just because that's the best way to get, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense for sure. And I mean, we'll definitely talk about what you're kind of working on or any kind of ideas in a second. But one thing I did want to bring up just at the top here is kind of congratulate you a little bit on the commercial success of this one, because I know that's not something you guys would initially think about. You're doing it for a variety of reasons, but I saw the statement you guys put out going into release week, obviously at this incredibly weird time. It's got to be so gratifying to know that the fans did still turn out for you guys despite all those obstacles being there, and you've had another very successful release week.
Yeah, I think we're in the long game with our fans. We want to try to keep the relationship as good as possible through this weird time. So if we were just thinking about this album, we would have just waited till July to release it. But we're gonna do 2 more on this contract. So we've got kind of more long-term plans.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I think it was a smart decision, and like we say, clearly really well received from the fans who were delighted to be able to come out and support you guys as they always do. And I did wonder as well, you know, I mean, this was I mean, this is the band's ninth. This is your fifth record with the band, right? Is it your fifth one? This one? Correct me if
Yes.
I'm wrong. I think it's the fifth one. That's kind of interesting because I mean, what do these milestones mean necessarily? But it must be kind of an interesting time to reflect on what you guys have achieved, even just in the time you guys have been there. I mean, how do you reflect on these 5 records you've been a part of, and which have been really an amazing transition period for the band?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I just compare it to Acceptance Speech, which is the first one I did, we're completely different people, and our process is completely different. And I think because we put out music so often, it's hard. Sometimes it's harder to John and I were talking about this recently, where we don't really reflect, or we don't really know what the album is until after it's come out and after some time has gone by, and then you can really kind of like, okay, this is where this sits in the whole catalog. But yeah, if you compare us as people and our relationships with each other and the way that we write music, it's completely different from Acceptance Speech to now. So it is cool. It is cool to go back and listen though. Like when this lockdown started, people were like admittedly going back and like watching their highlights and like trying to study how they've changed over the years, if they developed any bad habits, if they've improved in certain areas. And I definitely did a little bit of that as well. Just because, especially when the lockdown started, we all thought, oh, this is going to be like a short thing. It's going to be just a little bit of time to reflect, and then we're back to normal. But we're discovering that there's going to be a new normal that's not, it's kind of unprecedented. I'm sure that's an overused word for the situation. But yeah, just the amount of like, I was thinking back to this recently, the amount of energy and vigor I had at the beginning of lockdown to like be like, okay, I'm going to do all the things that I've been putting off really quick and smash it all in. And then we'll be back to touring and everything will be back to normal, and it'll be like a nice breath of fresh air. But now it seems as if this is going to extend, like, especially for our industry, it's going to extend for a while. So I'm just making a solo album, basically. I was gonna do it later, but I'm just doing it now. So I've written a ton of material already in this little time off, and I'm figuring out how I want to get it produced and put it out. But
Oh wow! So you feel like, because that's interesting. I've spoken to a lot of people who've wanted to use this time and to be creative, and that's mainly come in terms of writing stuff. But you're saying you want to actually be able to get it on almost on a fast track. Like you feel like you're in a place where maybe it's going to be heard sooner rather than later.
yeah, I mean, I have full capabilities here just at home to make an album. So if that works out, that would be great. If I can collaborate too, that would be even better. And I'm seeing that you can use text and email and Zoom and whatever it may be to. I think I could do a full album without leaving. That would be interesting.
Be pretty impressive, and it's clearly the future, isn't it? I mean, this is what I've spoken to so many band members who are trying to figure out. Some people who are in the middle of writing a new record and stuff, but yeah, just figuring out ways to do it. Like you say, we're kind of lucky that I mean lucky, but you know what I mean, that it's fallen in this time where that technology does exist. So I guess you can keep going.
Extremely lucky. Like,
Sure.
Unbelievably lucky.
For sure, man, for sure. But that's very, very exciting to hear, be able to do that. And I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit there. You know, your fan community is so incredible, both in your solo work and with the band, and always so supportive. And I guess that's one of the most important things we've seen with you guys over the last few years is maintaining that connection, whether it's doing things like Swan Fest or whatever else, that you really, really do always put them at the forefront, which is so nice to see. I wonder, now that the live show element's gone, it's a challenge we've been talking about with a lot of people, but how do you reach out through tech or whatever it is to maintain that community and that connection with the fans as best you can?
Yeah, luckily, I guess the restrictions are becoming a little more lax. So I think the band will be able to get together very soon in California legally, and we'll be able to actually do live shows. And I think we're talking about, I don't know, when is this going to come out anyway?
Possibly next week, I would imagine, from the time of recording. So
well, we're talking about some other things too.
Okay.
That will be planned out and special, because obviously the best window would have been, because we actually showed up at the first show of our tour, the first venue of our tour, and they had a green room for us, and we were able to hang out there. This was March 12th, so it was like right when America was like, all right, shut it down. And we regret not just loading on and just getting like a videographer in there and just doing the show anyway. Because it was at the, where was it at? Okay. It was at the Hollywood Palladium. So it was at a venue that was like, would have been one of the bright moments of our career. So but now after that, it was like, you can't even be close to each other. So that's coming back around again, where at least we'll be able to be in a room together and play music to create some sort of thing live. Because I don't know how it even works when people do it like remotely and they do these live shows.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Live? How is that live? Because there's got to be latency from
the tech. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. I've seen like some people doing it like live, and then some people doing it as sort of a pre-rec version. It seems like people are just trying stuff, man. I think that's kind of the beauty a little bit of this strange time, is seeing bands figure out loads of different ways to do stuff. That's been kind of a cool thing, at least. Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you can learn from the people who did it well and the people who did things that you would like to improve on when you do it. So we're taking our time. We're going to do something cool, though.
Oh, man, it's exciting. It's very, very exciting. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that for sure. I wanted to kind of step back a little bit, because it's been a while since we chatted to you. And actually, speaking of the fact that you're working on more solo work, obviously in between these last two Dance Gavin Dance records, you put out The Skeptic. And, you know, not your first solo album, of course, but like, I just wonder how does the work you do solo affect when you come back into the band? Do you find you're learning things out on your own each time that kind of feed into recording process with the guys? How does that work in your head?
I would say the biggest change from the solo project happened in between Acceptance Speech and Instant Gratification, because I was just doing a lot of writing sessions. And gaining influence from, really, yeah. It's underrated to actually interact in a room with a different singer and see how that singer sings and see what choices he or she makes. Because I did sessions with female vocalists too, where they were on the mic and I was helping with melody and lyrics. And it's really interesting, because things that you would never think of, they're kind of just doing off the top of their head. So it's interesting to soak up those moments and then bring it to a genre that's completely different. But I mean, chord progressions are chord progressions and music is music, and things that sound nice over certain chord changes are going to sound nice no matter what genre it is, really.
Yeah, God, that is really, really interesting. Just such a kind of simple thing, like you say, bring in another vocalist, because of course it's going to be a completely different mindset and a completely different take and interpretation of a song.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Man, that's really, really interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you about as well, speaking of working with other vocalists, in fact, Action with Don Broco. We've had the pleasure of asking a couple of people. We chatted to Caleb about it and stuff. Such an interesting collaboration. Talk to me about how you in particular got involved with that track.
We were on tour and we were in, what was it? Where was it? Kansas City. We were in Kansas City, and it was in between sound checks. One band had sound checked and another band was about to sound check, and we got into one of the green rooms, and Don Broco had their recording shit set up. They had like a non-condenser mic so that it didn't pick up everything, and I just sang the part right into it. I actually wound up tracking a lot more than made the song. But I guess it was pretty weird what I did, and they chose to cut a good amount of it. And also it's hard to fit like 5 vocalists in to one like mega feature track.
Yeah. I mean, such an amazing collaboration. So cool to see that. Do you really think it was too weird, some of the stuff you were doing? Is that what kind of weird things were you throwing in there?
Just like I did like an awe section that was like very evil sounding, and it just, maybe it didn't fit. Maybe it was kind of like a pump up song, and maybe I tried to make it a little more bizarre. I guess the song is pretty bizarre though. It's wild.
Oh, it's wild is the word. I think wild is the descriptive word for that one. Absolutely huge tune though. So cool. Yeah, I mean, so I've been asking everyone kind of what the lockdown plans are and what's next and how you're going to move through and forward. It sounds like more new music, I guess, and then lots more exciting plans to come. Do you have any kind of timeline in your head? What stage are you at in terms of the solo project in particular? Have you got songs fully formed yet, or is it still being built?
Yeah, I have some songs fully formed and then a lot that are close. So I imagine, but I don't know, it's kind of interesting because I'm taking it as like writing phase and then kind of production phase and doing them separately. And I've kind of started the production phase. But some of the songs are so different from each other right now that it's like, there's gonna have to be something that bridges them together. And then also DGD is writing too. I mean, we started writing more stuff. There's already there's multiple demos that we started doing as well. So, I mean, for the band, for the non-vocalists, they were done with this album by August of 2019. So it's coming up on a year. So for them, they're like, yeah, we want to write. We're ready. So I definitely welcome that.
Man, that's what I love about you guys. I do love that your work ethic is incredibly strong generally, but I just love the fact that, yeah, it never stops for you guys. It's just on to the next one. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep going. That's so exciting. In terms of the band stuff, I mean, what are we talking there in terms of demos? Is there many in the pack there? Have you guys done the vocals yet on many of them, or is it still more the instrumental side?
It's on the instrumental side. Yeah. I find that there's like 3 phases of instrumentals, and then the 4th phase of instrumentals after the vocalists get involved and move things around some of the times. It's in the 1st phase of instrumentals.
Okay. Early days.
Yeah. So it's like, it's Will, it's in the Will Swan phase. And then it gets to the Tim and Matt phase, and it starts to sound a little more like rock and a little more like it's going to sound in the end. Because the way that Will demos is very like almost like the Strokes or something. Like that's the sound that he kind of creates, where there's like two guitars that are very clear and very loud, and a drum machine type sounding drum set. Like if Will produced DGD by himself from the beginning to the end, it would be like Dance Gavin Dance with the Strokes production and screaming and singing.
I'd be intrigued to hear it. I'd be intrigued.
Yeah.
Be very intrigued. Maybe
he should put out his kind of early stage demos.
Yeah, God, that'd actually be really, really interesting to see the progression between the two. Yeah, it'd be really, really interesting. Tilian, I'll leave you with this, man, because obviously everyone's dying to get back to shows and seeing bands live and all that stuff. I just want to briefly mention Swan Fest because, again, just such a brilliant thing to do for the fans in that way, and must have felt like a real crowning achievement. I mean, talk to me about some of the memories of putting together those lineups and playing those shows in particular.
The Swan Fest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's still like a surreal experience when I think back on it, like how smoothly it went. It was one of those things that was so perfect that it's like weird to think that we can pull it off again. But we're going to try to. And because the first one went well, we kind of have more of an ability to form a lineup. And people are more interested in playing it than the first time. The first time was like close friends and people that obviously believed in the idea. And now that we've done it and we have kind of the result to back it up, we have more of curated choices on the lineup. But yeah, we'll see. I don't want to give anything away in terms of scheduling because we haven't actually like decided or announced how like the new restrictions are going to play out. We still have a tour booked right now. And we will see. I don't know. We're just trying to figure out what we can actually do because it's so uncertain.
No, of course, one day at a time, man. And I think, you know, whenever shows return, everyone's going to be super hyped to get back there, and that's going to be exciting. So something to look forward to for sure.
Oh yeah. And then I got off track. Anyway, Swan Fest was like out of body incredible. The best crowd response we've ever had and the best like group of fans that we've ever had. And we won't do Dasani water next time. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair point, and we'll leave that there. Man, it's good to catch up with you. All the best to you. All the best to the rest of the band. Glad you're staying safe, and look forward to seeing you in the UK at some point when all's allowed to happen, and see you guys back on stage. But in the meantime, really appreciate you chatting to us, man.
Hell yeah! Thank you so much.
All right, Tilian, everybody.